I can settle down and be doing just fine till I hear an old freight rolling down the line. Then I heard...
No. We go wherever you're happy to go. And the bad news is you've got two cricket tragics here, Martin.
Yes.
An hour and a half could go very quickly. We could be here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
We start talking cricket.
Well, the area you're talking in your book's a bit before my time. It'll be your time.
my time.
You guys might run away with it.
Yeah.
But so we have to apologise to our regular listeners who don't like cricket because
They're going to get...
you either got to just get over it or you might just skip this episode.
Why would they listen to us if they don't like cricket? Because
Well, yeah,
it
true.
crops up.
It does crop up
regularly.
Yes.
My mum, for example, doesn't like
She might not listen.
She's got to listen to it.
Yeah, maybe this will help. We know it's still cricket season, isn't it? The Vicks are still playing.
Finals.
Still cricket season in some way.
Yeah. I'm not sure where that ended up. The Vicks were playing SA, and it was a tight game. They made about 300 each in the first
They
innings.
lost a lot of time yesterday.
And then it rained.
So I don't think they'll get it.
I don't think they'll get it.
It doesn't matter because they're just playing each other again Thursday
probably
week.
final. Yeah.
They are.
I think
It's
that's
done.
right.
Yeah, Thursday week.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they find out where they're going to play it? Because they took the MCG away from them, didn't they? So
Well, it's going to be at the Junction Oval because the footy's already started, and so my son lives in San Francisco, and he's been out. He's in a band called Cut Copy, and they've done pretty well.
Yeah.
So so they had a couple of gigs, so he was out, and then he flew back to San Francisco with his 6-year-old son. We were looking after him a bit, and anyway, he got back and he said, "So what's happening with the Sheffield Shield game?" And I said, "Well, Victoria's in the final.
Yeah.
You know, it's next week." And he goes, "Well, will they play it on the MCG?" I said, "Yeah, it's a curtain raiser to the next round of footy."
Scott Boland wasn't very happy about it, but I assumed it was like a couple of days crossover. But it's obviously we're three rounds in.
3 rounds in. I said,
Yeah. It's got that. It's not that the cricket season's got longer.
No,
the footy seasons just keeps starting earlier and earlier, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we're partly here to talk about your book, a bit about cricket in general, and let's start with the book.
Okay, Scott. Yeah.
The Ashes. How long ago was this released?
Last December.
Okay. Yep.
And it's been in the pipeline for a little while, and thanks to my mate Ken Peace, sort of chatting to Michael Wilkinson at Wilkinson Publishing.
Yep.
It became a thing, and was out in December, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So it's sort of got some personal touches as well.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, the idea about it is the Ashes has been huge, hasn't it? Like particularly the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And they would have got 3 crowds of 90,000 at the MCG if the game had lasted that long.
They would have.
In the 60s, as you might remember, Brian, as kids, I mean, that's when I got into it, but all the words were like, this is dying.
Yep.
This Test cricket, this Ashes cricket, this is dying in the backside. So, and it had to turn around, and it did eventually. But they were talking about getting rid of the urn.
Yeah, wow. And that's what I took from the book. You know, you there's always someone or a group of people saying the Ashes is dying, or Test cricket's dying.
Yes.
The Test cricket's dying. It's too boring. It's too slow. Now too short. It's too fast. But you know that they were going through this in the 60s. You know, which some of us, if we don't know the history that well, might see as a glory era. We hear the names Bill Murray, you know, Bob Simpson, these sorts of names that we think are great players. But what we don't realise, as this book tells us, is that they were going through the same thing. Everyone was saying that Test cricket's
over.
That's dying and that's irrelevant and that's too slow.
Yeah, so there was this an overhang from the long history of Anglo-Australian Test cricket that you just couldn't lose. It was national pride that you couldn't lose the Ashes. Yeah. So once you got in front in a series, you fought tooth and nail not to give up your lead. A bit like a soccer match where you put everyone behind the ball when you're 1-0 up.
Front. Yeah.
And they're great players and great men, and there was some great cricket played, particularly against South Africa and the West Indies. Yeah. But the Ashes just didn't really get going. There's all these games that fizzled out. And the first Ashes test I went to was the one that was rescheduled when there was an Ashes test in 1970 washed out.
Yeah.
it was a New Year test rather than a Boxing Day test.
I remember that. Yeah,
And they
remember that
rescheduled a
washout
test.
Yeah.
And it was all right game for 2 or 3 days. And Chappell got 100. Rod Marsh made 92 not out, which was his first sort of decent score in Test cricket.
Yeah.
But then England batted the next day and a half, day and 3/4.
Yeah.
And Lucas got 100. D'Oliveira got 100. And then the thing just fizzled out. So I went to the last 4 days of it, my first Ashes test. And on day 5, it was so boring. Boycott and Edwards just batting for their averages.
Yeah.
No chance of result. That there were only 10,000 in the ground, and there was a protest. Everybody, all these kids and guys that had had a few cans, were banging the cans against the fence, making this noise of protest about how dull it was.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened for a while. I can tell you that. It's like the last Boxing Day test was over in the blink of an eye, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we were there. We were at the second day, which ended up being the last day. And I said, I've never been to the last day of a test of C5.
We've never gone to the last day. We did this year.
I always went to a second day.
We did.
Yeah, that was disappointing. It was disappointing. We went to the second day of the Boxing Day test against India the year before, and it was one of the best days of cricket we've been to. Fantastic. So much happened. The crowd was, great. Everything was going on, and then this was just kind of like, we're so looking forward to it. And it was a fizzer.
Actually, the Victorian coach, Chris Rogers, predicted that day 2, the wicket was going to be faster and even more unreliable.
Yeah.
And what was disappointing, wasn't it, was that the players, the batsmen particularly, lost faith in the surface and just batted in this cavalier fashion and thought, well, I'm just going to score as many runs as I can because I'm going to get a ball with my name on it.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. That's certainly what it looked like, yeah.
I mean, it didn't look to us, we're sitting up in the stands, it didn't look like there was anything really bad going on.
No, it didn't look unplayable.
No.
It didn't look unplayable.
But we weren't watching very closely.
Well, we're a fair way away.
We're not first-class cricketers.
I don't think...
Standing out there.
A lot of guys, batsmen now, with due respect, don't seem to have the resilience of those Lowrys and Simpsons who would try and battle through that type of a situation.
Yes.
When you think about it, those players that was the only form of cricket they played, right? Long form cricket. There was no one-day cricket, and there was certainly no 2020, no 100. So that was the only cricket they knew. To me, it seems obvious that 2020 cricket's the reason why this is happening, because our younger players are probably introduced to that before they're introduced to anything else. Not only that, but also all the money's in 2020 now. So if they want to make a really good living out of it, they've got to be good at 2020 because that's where the cash cow is. Do you agree with that? Do you reckon it's...
Look, I agree that the mental state of young batsmen, and we're seeing that in the Sheffield Shield, isn't... They don't know how to apply themselves over a long period of time.
Yeah.
I would slightly quibble at the fact that the biggest money is in the IPL.
Yeah.
That if you establish yourself in the Australian Test team, you're still going to make very good money.
Yeah.
And probably long term you do better, because your reputation is further established down the line in commentary, etc. So I still think there's. I'm never going to find out the truth of that, but that's how it seems. But in a general term, yes, Big Bash money, I presume, is quite reasonable. So that's their first port of call.
Yeah.
And there's only so many Test cricketers are going to get a cap, so to say.
Compared to, say, IPL in India,
if you're going to dedicate yourself to playing for the Australian Test team, you have to put everything into it. Yeah,
exactly.
It's probably you've got a lot more options available to you if you're looking at 2020 to make a decent living.
But it's not every game, because I went to Adelaide and Sydney, and they were both 5-day tests and really good games of cricket that fluctuated a bit, and fortunately Australia came out on top. I loved them. Sat. I didn't go to day 5 in either game. I flew home, but sat for 4 days and just soaked it all up. And it's not that so. Going back to 1970, it's not changed. My passion for it's not changed. It's still. I still think it's wonderful. And as you said, it doesn't have to be an Ashes test. That test against India at the MCG last year, I went all 5 days. And it was wonderful.
It wasn't. It was fantastic.
It was a cracking game. So, they're not all over in the blink of an eye, fortunately.
No, they're not. They're not.
And it is cricket at its best and purest, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Test match, a 5-day match.
Match.
That's the game.
And the fluctuations of a game over 5 days.
Oh, yeah. I just think that, for me, that is the game. But I'm a traditionalist, I guess. But I've never actually been to a one. Well, now I need to ask you this, Mark. Actually, I was about to say I've never been to a one-day game, like an even 50-over game, let alone a 2020. But that year that you're talking about, where that Ashes series was washed out at the MCG, I was staying at my brother's. I was about 15, and each day I'd get up and look at the forecast and try and get in from Surrey Hills, from his little house in Surrey Hills into the MCG. Wet again. Go in, go home, go in, go home every day. Did they not put on a 50-over game at the end of that? After 3 or 4 days of the test night, and Ian Chappell hit a ball into the clock face on the MCG. I remember. Is that possible, or did I dream that?
No, well, you dreamed the clock face, Brian.
I dreamed the clock face, did I?
Yes, you dreamt that bit, but you're right about every other aspect.
They did.
So it would have been day 4 of the test, and the sun came out, and that scheduled. That game was actually 48 ball overs.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yes.
And,
that'd be right.
And it now is recognised as the first ODI.
Yeah, that'd be right.
That game.
So
and Ian Chappell did hit a 6, I think.
Ian Chappell hit a 6 over the bowler's head. And, it was a straight 6, which he was a stronger, short player than he was a straight hitter, I thought, in my recollection, but he hit a magnificent on-drive, a straight drive.
He made the clock nervous, we'll say that, Brian.
He maybe didn't hit the clock, but I thought it might have hit the clock. But
I think there was money. I think there was a prize that year from a newspaper or something. If you could hit any of the clocks at any of the grounds, $1,000 or something.
That makes
sense. So maybe he was, He
did have a cricket. What a great cricketer he was. There were some great cricketers in that period. But yeah.
So what made you choose this particular decade for the book? Was there a particular reason for it, particular inspiration for it? Was it because of what we're talking about?
Basically, those reasons about the fact that I thought people need to know about this, and I can tell you a bit about what the world was like at that time, and how I got into the game at that time, and also. I love my Beatles, so I was able to sort of say, well, this is what was happening culturally in this year, and with the Beatles, and this is what was happening with the cricket. So that was when I started writing. I was just writing it for myself, and then you go, oh, maybe someone will be interested in publishing this, so I'll have a go at it. And as I say, fortunately, with Ken Peace's encouragement, Michael Wilkinson put it out.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And how did you manage to score Greg Chappell to write the foreword?
So I said Ken Peace is a mate, and I do some work for him, and he's just done a book called The Chappell Chronicles with Greg Chappell. So he sent me the manuscript, and it's for proofreading. And I don't know, I'm sort of a semi-Rain Man when it comes to cricket stuff. So I was able to pick up a few things. Greg Chappell's really good, but a couple of things that he didn't quite get right.
Okay.
So he was impressed by that. So Ken said, well, ask him to see he'll do a forward to your book. So he was happy to do that. And he's a very fine man. And Brian, I don't know what you think, having watched the same era as me, but I'd have him and Ricky Ponting as my two best. Steve Smith's nudging them, but I reckon Greg Chappell and Ricky Ponting are the two best batsmen, Australian Test batsmen that I've seen in my lifetime.
Look, I think Chappell, the most elegant and beautiful batsman to watch. Greg Chappell.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's the word that comes to my mind, elegant.
Lovely batsman to watch. Look, I got, who else did you say? Ponting. I'd still have, Ponting to me is a bit more of a, tough, punchier, harder, not the same elegance and look that Chappell. So if I had to name,
you want Ponting in the trenches with you.
Oh, of course you would. But I'd probably, I would definitely. I mean, I'm a left-hander, so I love David Gower. Gower and Chappell too. Very, very beautiful batsmen.
Yes.
Beautiful classical batsmen. I love Gower as well, the left-hander. But look, I'd probably for the cricketers I've seen, Australian batsmen, I would stick with Greg Chappell still myself. Of all of them, I would. I'm not sure how the runs stack up in the averages, but Greg Chappell for me to go and watch play. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But as I say, punting, topped and tailed, not so good. His start was a bit rough, and his finish was he's hung around for a little bit too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his bit in the middle when he got going was phenomenal. Yeah. And I saw him play an innings at the SCG on day 5 against South Africa in January 2006 when South Africa were 1-0 down. They had to declare and set us a target about 280. And Ponty got 140 not out. It's the most immaculate innings that I've ever seen with every shot in the book. None of them were risky shots. Just he wasn't slogging. Just
you
playing.
Clearly went the MCG when Sobers made his 250. Then, if you're saying that,
yes,
you were.
Yes,
and you'd put Ponnings above that.
Sorry, who's 250?
Sobers.
No, because
okay.
I only went to day 1 of that rest of the world game. So you saw.
I saw Sobers make which that's the best innings I've ever seen. And he's the best cricketer I've ever seen.
Yes, that's fair comment.
Absolutely outstanding. Yeah. Bat, bowl.
People talk about Jacques Callis, and his numbers are fantastic. But I've seen him make hundreds and don't remember a thing about them. Whereas, Sobers, just amazing. Yeah. Sort of, I don't know, you probably didn't see him, Scott, but you would have seen Lara bat. There were some similarities, I think.
Yeah. But Field and he was just had a wonderful presence on whether he was fielding. He could do everything at an elite level. Bat, bowl. He'd bowl. I saw him open the bowling for the rest of the world, I think, 1 year, and then swapped to bowling where he bowled wrist spin or finger spin or something, both, as well as fast bowling, as well as batting. I opened the batting probably. It was like, oh my God, he was magnificent cricketer. He's the best. He's the best I've ever seen. Yeah.
No, as far as world batsmen go, obviously in my time it was Lara, Tendulkar and Ponting probably.
Yes.
The 3 big ones. Yeah. So let's wind it back. Where does the love of cricket come from? Do you remember sort of the starting point? Do you remember who was it? Your old man? Was it just your mates? How did it turn into such a life-defining passion?
There's a genetic influence. So my grandfather and my father were both very keen. Yeah. My grandfather held the highest score record for a Kangaroo Flat Cricket Club for a few years.
Okay. I didn't realise there was a Bendigo connection.
No, wow, there we go.
There's always a Bendigo connection.
There is.
And Dad was really keen too. Right. Played in Bendigo, Benalla, and a little bit in Geelong post-war. Yeah. So there was always a bit of cricket literature around the house, not 1,600 books, but so he was probably pretty pleased that when I sort of took it on board and encouraged it from the word go, really. So I was about 10 or 11. The footy, I love footy first. Yeah, okay. I can remember my first footy game, Geelong Hawthorn draw in 1963 at Kardinia Park.
Oh, well, okay.
And the guys posted the last quarter on YouTube now. It's like, whoa.
Okay.
Can't find myself in the crowd. I was a 6-year-old. Yeah. So footy came first, and then when I was about 9 or 10, I started to really take an interest in cricket. Yeah. In that 60s period. So that was again part of the connection to the book.
Yeah, right. And so you're Geelong, born and bred?
Born and bred. Yep. Lived in East Geelong, Thompson-y bit for my childhood. Yep. Then, as I said, in 80, to you earlier, in 81, bought a house in East Geelong and have lived there ever since. But I have lived in England, had probably a total of, I had a whole year teaching, 2 other half cricket seasons in Essex, and then I got a love this gig. It was a cricket professional at a school in Bath.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful city.
Yeah, so I went there for 3 or 4 month stints 11 times.
Wow.
And just, adored it. Yeah. Adored the place. Made great friends. Got a great mate in Essex who's, didn't brag about this, and his knees are just about shot now, but he's made 150 centuries, he calculated, in his lifetime.
That's a lot of quick singles. That one of your knees. Running up and down the pitch.
I think he even got another one. He got 1 or 2 extra last year, so he might be about 150, 450, 500s he's made now. Jeez. But he just sort of roughly estimated when I asked him. Kev's a great mate, and we're in touch every week with, how's your cricket club going? How's my cricket club going? So, went over to Essex when I was teaching and played with him. He's a better player than me, but I did get him out in the nets once or twice, so he was impressed by that.
That's a better stint than Shane Hartley's effort as a pro in England, isn't it? Shane only survived about 5 or 6 games before they realised he had enough.
He was a complete fraud.
Shane Hartley, a teammate of ours from Bendigo.
He was the president of our club in Bendigo United Cricket Club in the Emu Valley League. So
yeah, he went to Seven Oaks, I think.
Oh, in Kent.
In Kent, somewhere near. It wasn't Seven Oaks; it was near there. And he went. They signed him up as
pretty bullshit his way into it, basically.
He said he was playing at that stage. He was playing one level off. He described playing in Bendigo at his club there, Sandhurst, as one step off Sheffield Shield cricket or district cricket or something. So they signed him up, and it wasn't long before another Aussie turned up who could actually play, and he ended up mucking around in the seconds, I think, and travelling Europe instead. But that would have been a fantastic experience. So I'd love to have played cricket in England. That must have been just a fantastic experience.
It was great fun.
Oh yeah.
So my cricket here is as a gritty left-handed opener in the GCA.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, I got over there in April. I started playing cricket in April. I took the family over in January and basically hooked myself around the schools and did relief teaching in Essex. And then one of the schools, a guy said, "I'll come to the Nats," and so I did, and then just played with them. So I wasn't on any retainer or anything. It didn't matter how good I was, but I early season, the wickets are so soft and slow.
Yes,
that I couldn't make a run, but I could bowl these little innies and outies, and that kept me in the first team until the pitch dried out. Then I couldn't get anyone out because there's nothing in the wicket. But I started to make a few runs, so it was great fun. And I did go back a couple of times in same club and played sort of half a season when I with some long service leave, and that was before the gig in Bath. But what I found in England is that you end up like here. I played basically for Geelong City from 1979 till I finished. I played over 300 games with them. In England, you end up playing with all these different teams, like because there's a guy will come and say, "I've got an evening league team, come and play in that," or "I've got a Sunday side."
Yeah, right.
And then when I went down to Bath, one of the teachers said, "Come and play in the half-term holiday. Come and play a couple of games for Oak Hill." And then this team, Bath Hospitals, were playing on Sundays. They said, "Come and have a couple of games with us." So, I've got. From Australia, I've got one jumper and one cap. From England, I've got about 6 or 7.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because that reminds me of being a cricket writer. You've probably heard this story. I've told Scott this story about Kerry O'Keefe when he went and gave Mick Jagger said to him, he met Mick Jagger at Lord's with his dad, and he was chatting to him, and he said, "What are you doing tomorrow? Come down and have a hit with, what do you do with you? Come and help me out." So he went and played for Jagger's local village team. And he talked about the big, tall, blonde Sheila who came and sat down on the side of the bench, and Jerry Hall. Jerry Hall. They played the cricket, and then and Mick said to him, "What are you doing tonight?" Keith and the boys are coming around for a barbecue. Mind you, you want to come around? Kerry O'Keefe goes, "Oh no, I had to prepare. We had a formal meeting with the Queen. He was going to Buckingham Palace or something like that." He said, "Oh no, I had to say no to a party with the Stones." Mick Jagger's back out of the house. How would that be?
Wow.
Oh, wouldn't that have been something? Yeah. But that just reminded me. They have every little village has a game. I travelled around, and each of those little village squares there's games going on. Beautiful.
And you always stop and have a look.
Oh, I do, of course, and look at the book.
Yeah,
of course, look at the score.
Yeah. And they're beautiful little grounds.
Gorgeous. Yeah, smaller grounds, but very pretty. And there's often a pub on the boundary. Just they're almost playing in the pub front yard.
Yes.
Some of them beautiful grounds.
And so how did that evolve into writing about cricket? Because so this isn't your day job, is it, writing cricket?
No, I was a school teacher. But I used to get cricket magazines. And again, you might remember these Australian cricketer from the 70s and 80s.
The Art of Cricket. That wasn't a magazine. That was the book, the only cricket book in the school library that I read every month. The Don Bradman one.
The coaching one. So I just thought I started writing a few letters, and then I had the editor's phone number in the credit section at the front, and I rang Ken Pease and said, "Can I have a go at writing an article?" He goes, "Yeah, have a try." So I can't even remember what it was, but I started doing that. Then I started contacting English cricket magazines. So it was magazines first, and then after about 10 years of that, I thought, well, I'll shop around at a publisher. I've I had an idea. No one had done a Richie Beno biography. I thought I'll see how that goes. So Kangaroo Press went with that, and I've kept writing for the cricket magazines that I left, which is not many. But I had things in Wisdom Cricket Monthly, the Cricketer International in England, ABC Cricket Book, a couple of those. And then Inside Cricket, which came later. I had a couple of seasons there that I was writing things. I just enjoyed doing it, talking to the players, etc. And I've just kept that up right through. And there's a few bucks, not many, but that keeps me interested. And
pays for a really fun hobby.
It's a great hobby. And just to tell you what some of the highlights are, I was in England in 1994. And there was an Ashes tour after that. And I said, where was it? It might have been the ABC Cricket Book. I said, can I do a thing on some of the England captains? So I went to an England-New Zealand test at Lords, and Ray Illingworth was the manager of the England team at the time, or the coach. So at the end of the game, I went in the press conference, I went up to him and said, excuse me, can I have a chat to you about your time as captain of England against Australia? He said, no worries. And when the press conference ended, we went up the top deck of the pavilion at Lords, and I'm sitting next to this guy who, is a great legendary English cricket captain. The sun was out. The game had ended, so the sprinkler was on out there on Lords, and he was really nice and really good and gave me some great stories. Like when he was sacked as England captain, the chairman of selectors, they were both taking a pee in the Lord's men's loo against. So he's there at the urinal, and Alec Betts has come up, and he's at the urinal too, and he said, oh, by the way, you're not captain of the side anymore.
Well, that's a classic cricket story, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a classic cricket story. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Better than reading about it in the paper, I suppose.
Or in the mailbox.
Yeah, in the mailbox.
One of our former captains came home from work one day and pulled things out. Thank you. Your service and honour required as captain of the Valley Cricket, the United Cricket Club. Just like that, a letter in the mailbox. But at the urinal's pretty cool.
So that was just a memorable time, and I just adored it. And it was kind of like, I wish I could do this all the time and not have to teach. But not that there's anything wrong with teaching, but that was pretty special. So that inspires you to keep going and doing more and more. And
so it's interesting, Mark, driven by a great love of the game, quite clearly, but also an interest in writing, an ability to write. You're a humanities or an English teacher, or
primary school,
primary school teacher.
But always
language and teaching.
I mean, I've always enjoyed writing. At high school, I used to write stories and things that in English that the teachers seemed to like. So, and as I say, Ken Peace has sort of always monitored and mentored me, I should say.
Okay.
But I met. There's a lot, as you know, with cricket. There's so many good people. It's filled with good people. I mean, so is there lots of other things, but I just think pro rata, it's as good as anywhere in terms of the people that you meet and the friends you make.
Absolutely.
It's a different culture. You played footy too. We've all played footy and cricket. The cultures are so different in the clubs, in my experience. I played in small rural communities and then larger towns later in my life, but completely different cultures, cricket clubs and footy clubs, and I prefer the cricket club. It's just a bit more, I don't know, old-fashioned word, but gentlemanly. A little bit more, just a little bit more gentlemanly, I think, nicer, polite.
Clubs can vary too, I mean, I've probably told this story in the podcast, how when I left, my wife and I went overseas. We left the cricket club in Bendigo, which I missed very much, and went to settle in Perth and found a club in Perth, got there, and, it was just a different culture, whereas our club at home was very family friendly. The wives, girlfriends, kids all came back after the games, often after training as well. And, I'll get to this club in Perth, and on a Thursday night, the strippers are coming out, after the training. I'm like, Jesus, this is like... it's a complete different world.
I've never seen anything like that.
I don't know that there was particularly that kind of club. I assumed it was just the culture of Perth. So
I think maybe.
I lasted about a year, and then that was it. I had enough. We turned to lawn bowls. So it can change within clubs too. But I agree with as a whole compared to.
There seems to be a lot done, and maybe there always is a lot to be done by a few in a cricket club. There's there's so much work, and everybody gets into it. There's such good volunteer contribution made by everyone. You know, the great club that, you know, we're a United Cricket Club in Bendigo, Scott, that we're a part of. You know, just incredible that somebody's been doing the bar for like 20 until they die. They do the bar, and then somebody takes over. Yeah, they do. You know, somebody
just went out the lunches or the teas.
The morning and afternoon. Teas are done. The people that do it, they make like lifetime commitments to do it. Scorers, people who score for the first. You know, former players who go along there every week and score every week. You know, like it takes all that volunteer contribution, but it's a really healthy and nice vibe around a cricket club, I reckon.
I agree 100%. Yeah. And as I said, I played for Geelong City. I live in East Geelong, so I still wander down, you know, one Saturday out of 3 at 4:30 and just sit around and have one drink and chat to people and watch the game, and hopefully they win. Yeah. It's like you haven't missed a beat, and you know your body won't let you play anymore, but you still feel part of it. I go to footy club reunions, and that's nice, but and I'm not. There's no criticism of anyone at the footy club where I played, but I just feel more comfortable at my cricket club.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I went back to Mildura, where I lived and worked for about 10 years in the 70s and 80s, early in my working life. Played cricket at Mildura Settlers Cricket Club there, a fabulous cricket club, beautiful turf wickets in Mildura, great place, great grounds, great place to play cricket. I went back to walk. I was back there for holidays, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. It was summer, you know, and there's a game on, so I went down to my old ground, and there they were. They were all there. The blokes I'd played with were there. Not all play. One was still sitting, you know, doing fine league or something. A couple were sitting around having a beer. They all remembered me. Look, I could have just walked out 5 minutes ago. It's like 25 years later. They all knew who I was. They were all still, I recognised them. It's just a lovely, very strong, friendly, inviting sort of family feel they seem to have. About the game, I think the game has an influence. You know, you're sitting there. It's summer. You know, the sun's out. You know, the grass is green. It's a lovely environment, I think.
Obviously, they're often in a beautiful location, trees around, you know, especially country cricket.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a great game.
It is. So, where do you see? I mean, where do you see the state of cricket now? Well, we touched on it earlier with 2020 and the influence that's having on the game as a whole. But is Test cricket safe?
I don't know. I mean, we talked about the crowds in Australia, and that was the same that broke records last year with the India Test. And it was a different vibe, but it was still a fantastic game. I mean, I think the Indian supporters in Australia at those games, and I went to Adelaide and Sydney as well. They brought something different.
Oh yeah, they're passionate.
They're passionate, but they bring their kids, and the kids just sit there for hours. And it's like, they're amazing. I thought that was a wonderful series, and it was more competitive than the Ashes.
I agree. Much more evenly balanced on edge, the whole thing.
So in that respect, there's no problem with Test cricket in Australia. But then we hear Cricket Australia say, "Oh, we lost money on the summer." Last summer, and you go, they had 370,000 at Boxing Day Test. How can you not be making any money? Then you hear Todd Greenberg say, "We think we're going to have to sell the big bash teams to Indian franchises." And we might have to get used to a different summer so that the prime time isn't given to the Boxing Day Test and the Sydney New Year's Test. And you can't, people like me, I just, scream and yell at the screen because I'm sure there'd be someone would burn down Cricket Australia House at Jollymont because it sounds outrageous.
It does. It sounds unbelievable.
And I know the Big Bash is popular, but they had a New Year's Day game, local derby, didn't they, for the Big Bash in Melbourne? I think they get 40,000, which is fine. But to sell out your Boxing Day Test match for that seems outrageous. But whether it's about just TV rights money from India, I'm not sure. But
it is a big part of it, isn't it?
It seems it would be totally selling out the game. Now these guys say, "Oh well, young kids are wanting to just play T20 and they're not going to be so worried about playing Test cricket," but it's part of our culture, isn't it? The baggy green. It goes deeper than just a trend in the game. It goes back to 1877.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to break that,
Yeah.
well, I think they're taking a big risk.
Yeah.
We are seeing it in other countries, though, aren't we? We're seeing it in the West Indies, for example, where and it's a different country. A lot more poverty there, so we can understand why players would go for the bucks if there's no money in Test cricket in the West Indies.
Yeah.
There's plenty of money in India for them, and they've got a family to feed, and they've grown up in extreme poverty. But I mean, that is an example of where the young players are going for the big lights and the big money, and hopefully we have enough money in the sport to sustain the younger people playing Test cricket. But if we take it out and put it into something else, does it end up like the West Indies?
Well, I don't think it does, Scott, because the West Indies are very small countries.
Low population.
And small population, and they just haven't, even when they had great sides, they weren't really making their money playing for the West Indies. They were making it playing for World Series cricket or county cricket. What I'm disappointed with some of those guys is that have made a lot of money out of franchise T20 cricket, is that they haven't put any time back into growing the game in the West Indies again, because we all know it's in trouble in the West Indies.
Yeah.
You look up, and this is the other thing about all this franchise cricket, you look up these guys on the Cricket Info webpage, and they've got like 30 or 40 different teams. You can't develop any affinity with the side you're playing for if you're changing every 10 minutes. And they go from one league to the next. I mean, even who's the guy? It's played just an older guy that's been in the Big Bash, and he's played a
West Indian guy.
No, sorry,
Oh.
an Aussie guy, Lynn, is it? Chris
Lynn.
Chris Lynn. He's got like 40 different teams that he's played for on his CV.
Yeah.
Well, it just seems ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty. There's no there's no following. Or how do you get a loyalty from fans? How do you get anything where you're just basically just going where the next dollar is?
It's not unique though, is it? I was just saying to my wife Di the other night, who's not a football fan at all, but she came in while I was watching a bit of footy, and I'm looking and saying, there's players running around for clubs. All of a sudden, here's Silvani in a St Kilda jumper, and there's a Collingwood bloke running around for somebody else like that.
Yeah.
The idea of like loyalty and club for life sort of stuff, it's sort of all gone everywhere. It seems like individuals now seem to chase the reward, which free agency is what's happening in footy.
Yeah.
I don't like it much. I'm going to say I'm not interested in it making lots of money. Whoever makes the money, I like the club base to sport, cricket and footy. It just looks odd to me to see these players, great players. I'm a Tigers man, so we had that little short burst of success a little while ago, which is fantastic. And then they all just went, like Keith Miller would say, scatter, and they've gone.
Yes.
The whole side. Every team has got a Rioli or these absolute champion young men we had in our side. They're all gone off now to different clubs and playing. It just seems to be what happens. I mean, I'm not sort of blaming anyone. I'm saying I just don't like it, I just don't like it. Those guys should still be back there with Francis Burke and Billy Barrett, still there till they drop.
And then they're talking about getting rid of the father-son rule as well, So that's the next tradition of the game that they're pretty much...
The same reason to free up that, self-agency, whatever they call it, whatever.
Well, I think it's some of the interstate clubs that don't like that, isn't it? Some of the clubs up north that don't like the father-son rule because they feel like they're missing out.
I think it's an element of the same thing about free agency, and also the other element here, I think, is the local academies. They get first crack. Father-son gets first crack. So there seems to be an opportunity for some sides to benefit more than others, and it's not fair, in terms of a draft. In a draft situation, not fair. I'm not sure. Mark, do you have a view around this sort of stuff at all?
With the footy?
Well, just the idea.
Well, we've said about the T20 stuff, and as I say, I'm not a fan. I wouldn't even know what sides of. I mean, the IPL's the biggest one. You can tell me who's won the last 5 years.
I don't know one team that plays in the IPL.
No,
I know it's in India.
Yes,
isn't it? But who are? I don't.
There's the Royals, Southern Royals,
Rajasthani Royals. I think Warney was with that mob, wasn't he?
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. But in terms of the footy, look, I mean, they're mucking around with it every 10 minutes, aren't they? So, look, I don't like the presentation of the game, but I went to 2 games last weekend. I went to the Geelong Fremantle game, and I went to the
fantastic game of football.
And I also went to the Melbourne Security game, which you're kind of referring to, Brian.
Yeah.
And also it was a really great and entertaining game. And I quite somebody got me an MCC. Put me down for a membership nomination in 1997. I wasn't even, and I'd even forgotten all about it until I got one in 2016. So it's been a boon. Yeah. It is such great value. So I just tootle up to a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon game, whoever's playing there. Yeah. And this was, this Melbourne Security game was like, I don't care who wins, but what a game of footy it was. Yeah. So it was, it's great. So the footy can still be fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's going on with player drafts and all this kind of stuff and the money, and I can't keep up with it, to be honest, but I do know that the Queensland clubs can't complain about who's available.
No, I think all the interstate, particularly the newer interstate clubs are being well looked after. Hopefully Tasmania will get the same benefits. I'd like to see Tasmania as well established as a strong competitive force in the AFL. I hope they can be. The others I don't care about so much. But look, the other thing I've got to say, again, here's my Tigers colours coming through, but, why isn't Benny Gale running the AFL? There's a bloke who was clearly the most outstanding candidate, but the old boy, the old network, the old school tie, the old network, no, in she goes. Geez, I tell you what, I don't have a lot of time for the AFL, I've got to say. I don't think they are, in the long term, looking after the best interests of the game myself. I really don't.
Well, they want to run by lawyers and accountants, not
it's a closed shop. I don't know.
I think the broadcasters have too much say in how they present it and how they program it and how they schedule it.
Where the money is, obviously.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The right handshake.
Yeah.
Still going on.
Go to the right school.
Yeah. I think there's another thing going on in AFL, and Richmond probably have calmed down a bit because they won those 3 flags, but I see this thing directed at Geelong sometimes. Carlton, I've got a great mate who's a Carlton supporter, and I think Essendon are in the same boat. Yeah. Collingwood a little bit, but they have this sense that we're the biggest clubs in the competition still. Yeah. We have a right to be up in the top end of the ladder.
Yeah, we're doing all the work. Yeah,
we have a right to be up the top end of the ladder. And why are Geelong always up there? What are they doing? They must be cheating. Yeah. So there's been a couple of little grumbles, haven't there, over the last year or two, which they've been very small things. So that's what. That brings pressure to the AFL to act on a few of these things as well, because Collingwood is still a power broker in the AFL because they're such a big club. Yeah. I mean, they do have a recent flag, but certainly I know Carlton, my Carlton supporter, mate, and I can't make any fun of him. He gets very angry on a Monday with me.
I got one of them.
And
Essendon are a bit the same. They don't fire up as much, but they've had a long period now of where their culture got damaged and they haven't been able to recover.
No. Both clubs, it's their own silly fault. With Carlton it was the salary cap, and with Essendon it was the drugs thing, and neither of them are recovered since.
No, they haven't.
A huge cost, both of those issues. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. It does a lot of damage, doesn't it?
These are clubs who I remember as a Hawthorn supporter being our great rivals and 2 of the 3 great clubs of the 80s.
Absolutely. Fabulous. And a long history of success, those clubs.
So to see them struggling so badly on the field is really, it is quite a shock.
So, Scott, you're a Hawthorn supporter.
I'm a Hawthorn supporter.
Well, I'll be signing off now.
I should have warned you that before we started this podcast.
Great library. He's a Jeff Kennett man. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but Jeffrey,
okay. Yeah. I'm not a Jeff Kennett man.
Sometimes underneath it all, because as I say, I can go back to 1963, I have this it's very small, Scott, grudging respect for the success that Hawthorn have become, because they were not necessarily a small club, but...
No, we were. But prior to 1961, when we were first, we struggled. We struggled big time, and we were lucky to get in. I think it was
1925, I think. Something 25, 26.
It was the same year as Footscray in North Melbourne, and I think we just knew the right person at the right time to get in, because we were rubbish. We were even rubbish in the VFA, and then we got...
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that history.
We were rubbish for 40 years.
Yeah, okay.
And then, Graham Arthur captured that
61 flag.
61, 71, and then it kind of went on from there.
Yeah, well, 71's really interesting, and there's a good... You can get a good look at that game on old DVDs and etc.
Which one? 71?
71. So
Yeah.
both St Kilda and Hawthorn had one flag at that stage, and St Kilda were 20 points up at three-quarter time. That last quarter changed the entire history of both clubs.
Yeah.
Because Hawthorn got up and won, even though poor old Peter Hudson had half his ear ripped off.
Yeah.
They got up and won. It was a brutal. I don't know if you've ever watched it, Sky.
I've got it on video. I have watched it on DVD. Yeah.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. You don't know how somebody didn't get killed out there. And look, the destiny of the two clubs went in different directions. St Kilda still haven't been able to pick up one since then. Yeah. And Hawthorn have gone on to become one of the powerhouses in the competition. Did you ever get to see them play at Glenferrie Oval? I don't suppose you did.
No.
Well, nor did I, but I had a friend that lives in Hawthorn, and we took a walk across Glenferrie Oval one day, and I went, how did they fit 36 fully grown footballers out on this tiny little ground?
Yeah, it is, because it's still there. It's still just sitting there like a little suburban ground. With, It does look small, doesn't it?
It's tiny. It's tiny. Yeah. And it was always muddy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was notorious for that.
Yeah.
Well, I watched them many times out at Waverley, but that was not as fun as what Glenferrie would have been.
I did too, strangely enough, because my older son Cam was a keen Hawthorn fan, and during a period when Richmond weren't doing too well, we'd drive from Bendigo out to Waverley and watch the Hawks play. Take out, my oldest son as he's grown up, go and watch Derby Brereton play.
Windy.
I would drive out there just to watch Brereton play. You could watch a game of football and he might have had 3 touches, and they'd be 3 or 4 goals down. Third quarter come around or the last quarter come around, and Derby would just grab it, crush through a bloke, kick 3 or 4 goals, and they'd win by 6 points or something. So often I saw him win games. I can't believe it. Gee, he was a powerful forward, powerful influence, goal kicker,
and a big presence.
Terrific guy. He was
big personality.
Like the Hawks have had a lot of that style of player, but he was tough and gifted. Gifted. Beautiful hands, good kick. It was great fun to go and watch him play and drive all the way back from Waverley back to Bendigo.
Well, it's funny. I saw I've got a record, right, and tickets from the last game ever played at Waverley, Hawthorn versus Sydney. And I don't even remember being at the game. So I was there, but I don't remember it. That was weird. I got this thing out, going through some stuff. I'm like, oh, shit. That's right.
Must have been there. I guess I was.
I remember the whole thing.
Well, I saw the first grand final I ever went to was the 89 grand final, and what a day that was. And I missed a trick because the principal of the school where I worked was coaching Geelong under 19s at the time, and he said he organised the ticket for me. Great spot on the wing. It was a bit different then. You could wangle a ticket here and there, unlike now. And he said to me, watch Mark Yates at the first bounce. And I forgot all about it in the excitement of the day. And then the next thing you know, Dermy's down, which just set the whole thing off, didn't it? But, you had the Ablett exhibition. You had all those Hawthorns walking wounded by the last quarter.
Dipper with punctured lung with broken ribs.
And Geelong, eroding the lead. And sitting there, I thought at no stage did I think Geelong would win. But then what I didn't realise, it ended up a 34-minute quarter or something because there was a streaker. There were other interruptions. Was it the last quarter McGuinness hit the point post, so the game stopped for him to be treated by the doctor. So there were and Geelong kicked a lot of goals. I'm thinking, we've cut it back, and this is a respectable loss in the end. But I didn't. Then we got within a goal with 30 seconds to go. We couldn't get it out of the middle. But I don't know what would have happened if we kicked another goal and been a draw. I think the two reserves teams would have played the next week.
There wouldn't have been anyone left. All went in hospital.
But it was that day was disappointing to not win it, but we came out with a lot of respect. I thought, we're going to win one soon, and it still was another 18 years before we actually got one.
Well, we talked about great cricketers before. We had that conversation about great cricketers, the greatest Australian cricketer. Those that you remember, we've talked about some great Hawthorn footballers here, But has there ever been a better footballer than Gary Ablett Senior, the first bloke? What a footballer he was. What a footballer. Any better? I don't know. I don't think I ever saw anyone better than Ablett.
I don't think I saw it at his best. I think he was certainly the most entertaining player I've ever seen. Yeah. It's really hard to with cricket. You can say, well, Bradman's the best batsman ever because the numbers are there.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean,
so Ablett Senior, at his best, doing what he did in 3 of the 4 89 finals. Yeah. That's the most supreme football I've ever seen and the most exciting.
Yeah.
But his bottom, well, he played a reasonable amount of time, but he's had a lot of games where he didn't do much.
Yeah.
And he's not been a model citizen either.
No, that's true. No.
You could argue the junior was just as good in certain in the way he played.
Yeah.
And he's won a premiership and won 2 Brownlows, where Ablett Senior didn't. So it's a very subjective thing, but certainly
I don't rate him. That's funny, isn't it? Say you're a Cats fan, so I don't rate him anywhere near his dad. Like he's powerful influence on the field. Up forward. Whereas I probably should. I mean, that's probably unfair. I think, given what you've said.
Oh, it's not unfair for you, Brian, because you said you're a Richmond supporter, and Ablett Senior used to specialise in kicking 12 goals against Richmond. Didn't he kick 14 from the wing one day against?
Possibly. I
think that might have happened too.
His brother there for a while. He was no good, but he had that. He had a bit of Richmond about him. We like a big buffy bloke up forward, the Tigers. We don't mind a bit of Neil Baum type sort of stuff.
Oh dear, yeah.
So
it's a pity for Neil Baum and for Jeff Southby that's what he's remembered for more than the fact that he could play a bit.
Yeah, he could play. He could play too.
I think he'd get 10 weeks for what he did in the 73 grand final now.
Yeah.
Definitely. You'd miss half a season.
Yeah. You don't get away with it because there's cameras on every player every time.
Yeah. Yes.
Then if the
but it's there. It's easy to see it. Yeah. It's right there. Yeah. And I think all that happened was he gave away a free kick. But
well, if the umpire didn't catch it, you didn't get done. They had VAR.
No,
the ball was kind of there. That was enough. Yeah. The same when Cowboy Neil flattened Hudson in the 71 grand final. Yeah. The ball was kind of there. That was enough.
Bang, smash.
And just, and it's good that it's been taken out of the game.
Of course it is.
It was just sniping. It wasn't, there's no skill involved.
Yeah.
I mean, it is good that's taken out of the game. It is a shame we've lost those great players like Gary Ablett Senior, who probably would struggle in today's game, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he?
No.
Where would he play?
He'd be right. Or he'd play wherever he wanted to play.
Yeah.
He'd have to train a bit harder, wouldn't he?
Well, if he'd be playing, he'd be an on-baller, wouldn't he? Like now, he'd be coming out of the middle with it. You wouldn't play him at the sticks.
Tony Lockett.
No, Tony be here.
Would Jason Dunstall get a game?
No, they'd be at the dog track, all those blokes. Doug Wade, all of those guys, they'd be down watching the dogs go around.
Well, one of the nice things about round one and the 2 games I saw was that Shannon Neal took some clunking marks and kicked 5 goals at full forward for Geelong and helped turn the game around. And Van Ruin at Melbourne kicked 6. So they're old-fashioned leading marking for forwards. And we've been saying those kind of players have gone out of the game a bit. It would be nice if they were able to bring that kind of guy back and they're able to kick. Wouldn't it be wonderful if someone kicked 100 goals?
Oh, yeah, I think it'd be great. So, high marking leading forwards to have that back in the game. But, I don't think it's going to happen the way the game moves now, but it's still a great spectacle to see, high mark close to goal and goal kicking is still one of the best parts of the game, I think. Much more fun to watch than watch midfielders run around bouncing off each other.
They all look the same.
Yeah, that's right. They're just pressing around with the ball, getting it out.
It can be dull. I've seen the game can just get locked down and they can't get it away from the boundary line and there's a lot of ball ups and throw-ins.
Very defensive. They play a very defensive game now. It's not as open and attacking.
I mean, I watched the Hawthorn-Essendon game on Friday night and that second quarter Hawthorns that was pretty exciting to watch. When they broke it open like that, when you get a club like that who could run like that and with the skills that they had, it's pretty exciting to watch. But you miss the big marking forwards. Yeah. They're pretty much killed the ruckman by
Rahan are gone. I was watching it now, I think.
And I sort of heard something about it, but I didn't really understand the rule. But I saw, I don't know if it was our ruckman or the Essendon ruckman, I think it was ours, got a free kick against him because he crossed the middle line. It's like, now you can't even, this is a basketball tap out, isn't it? Yeah. So they're killing off the ruckman. They're killing off the big backman, they're killing. They're pretty much making the game of midfielders.
I think also, Geelong got 3 50-metre penalties in their favour on Saturday that didn't do them any harm. But I'm almost embarrassed because now it's almost if you're the guy in the mark and you sneeze, you give away a 50-metre penalty.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't even sort of breathe in and out.
Yeah.
I think that's a blight on the game too. It's
Yeah.
okay, when guys used to get flung to the ground after they mark it, give them 50 metres.
Yeah.
And I understand they're trying to make it so that they can't sort of block the guy from taking his kick, but it's starting to get too ridiculous. I think the penalty for the misdemeanor. The guys don't even know why they're getting 50-metre penalties against them. Yeah. So that's something I think they've spoiled. With that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've tried to address a problem that the game had as it being locked down, like you said, and it's slowing down too much, and they've taken it just too far. Yeah, taken it. They've taken it so literally. You know, there doesn't seem any common sense left. You know, out in the field when it comes to managing the game. Yeah. I'm keen to go back a little bit in the conversation because we were talking about good people, you know, in clubs and in the game, and being a school teacher, I imagine you know a bit about this, about people's character and so on. But you know, we're talking about you know, Hawthorn, how they transitioned from a laughing stock of the league through, you know, Graham Arthur in 61, and then you got Kennedy and you got Jeans, you got these sorts of great leaders of the club. We'll put Kennedy aside there.
He's in the mix. Politics aside, Jeffrey's in the mix.
But you know, and then he said what, you know, Geelong and Essendon and Carlton are whinging about how Geelong's longevity's been, but I think it's pretty clear the Geelong Footy Club why they've been successful, and it comes down to people too, doesn't it? You know, it comes down to the leadership of the club and the direction that they set themselves. You talk about Brendan Gale, his statement about Richmond that came through. You know, so Geelong Footy Club is hugely successful for that very reason, isn't it? For the great people,
leadership,
the great leadership in the club.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And because we're a smaller club, you know, we're more of the St Kilda, North Melbourne, Western Bulldogs size in terms of our membership and venue, but it's a solid club. Yeah. So I didn't have to ever choose which team I was going to support because of everyone in Geelong. You live in Geelong. Yeah. You know, you run out of town if you don't support Geelong. Yeah. Whereas, and the VF, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. In the old days, of course, that also applied in Melbourne when the VFL started. If you lived in St Kilda, you supported St Kilda. You lived in Collingwood, you supported Collingwood. Yeah. That's not the case now. And if you lived outside Geelong or the Melbourne metropolitan area in, you know, regional Victoria, I guess you had to choose.
Well, Bendigo, a lot of people, Bendigo...
there were zones.
Carlton, because all
Carlton zones originally.
Yes. So you've got a lot of players came from Bendigo, a lot of Carlton players.
Yeah. I remember seeing Rod Ashman play one of his early games for Eagle Hawk, I think, at the QEO in a prelim. Yeah. Kicked about 7 goals from the half-forward flank. Yeah. And I thought, this guy can play a bit. Yeah. It was a great zone. And I think Hawthorn did pretty well in the 70s out of their zone as well, with the Ablets and Tuck and Matthews, I think, came down from that same part of Victoria.
Yeah, there was a story with
Gippsland people, those Gippsland zone, was it? Was it over that side?
Yeah.
Druin and all around. Was
it that?
Warragul and those kinds of places.
I don't know about Lee Matthews.
There was a story. I don't think he was meant to go to Hawthorn. I can't quite remember that. I'm not sure. It might have been St Kilda he was meant to go to. Okay. Something went on.
All right.
Yeah.
The deal was done. Someone was very clever.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say about Geelong is, and it's nice that we make the finals every year, but there's only, since 2011, we've only won one premiership. We've been in 3 grand finals. Yeah. We've only won one premiership. We've only got 10. So Hawthorn have got, 13 or 14 now. Richmond have gone, they must
14?
Be 13 or 14.
Something like that, yeah.
So, and Carlton and Essendon and Collingwood have got 16 or 16 or so. Yeah. I turn 70 next year, so I'd like to see at least 1 or 2 more flags in my lifetime. I went to the grand final last year. I mean, it's devastating to get that close and then lose.
It's awful.
It rips you apart. So I'm not satisfied with. As I say, Carlton and Essendon, whinge all you like until we start winning flags. We're not winning flags. We're getting to the finals and we're doing a good job, but we're not winning premierships, and there's only one prize.
No, and it's unfortunately it's true. It's tough and it's true, but we know from our cricket club, Scott, we were talking before about our United Cricket Club in Bendigo. Shane Hart in the club are absolutely insistent. You know, we play to make the finals, so there's nothing less.
Just got to make the finals.
That's it. Don't worry. Through the year, we've got to make the finals. We expect to make the finals. And then you don't ever think about losing a finals game. And when you get into a grand final, don't come back. Don't come back if you don't win. Like, we don't We do not lose grand finals. The culture was absolutely incredible.
They have lost a few for grand finals.
They have, but
they've been in a lot.
Oh my God, they've been in a lot and they've won a lot. And the expectation is really, really. And in the end, it wore down opponents, It wore down. They know these guys are going to, they will not give up, And it is state of mind and leadership at club level. It's not that easy, but yeah, you have to. You don't want to lose a grand final.
So where's United Ground? Because my grandparents lived in Flora Hill, Somerville Street in Flora Hill.
Not far from
We're at Ewing Park, so Williamson Street, where if Bendigo locals know the old 24-hour shop, opposite the Brom Arms Hotel.
Okay,
so it's sort of right in town. So
yes,
it's part of the Emu Valley League, which is like
not the Bendigo League,
not
the District League.
We're talking concrete and carpet.
Yeah. Okay.
The old Matting League, and before that, the old Bendigo Churches
League, that sort of stuff.
We used to drive past that. Was Humanisers ground, or does that ring a bell? And Grandpa used to tell me about the Humanisers ground. I'd drive past it, and it was the roughest. Not far from the creek.
Humanisers over in Quarry Hill, though.
Oh,
it might have been. That sounds right. And I thought it was the roughest looking cricket ground I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. This is an English-style cricket ground with Father Time, Bain, and the Hartneys have got it all decked up, double story, wide picket fence.
So having said that, it wasn't always like that.
No. Yeah. It is now, but it wouldn't have been back then.
Well, as I said, the Brownings were Kangaroo Flat people, and
the Browning Street.
There's a Browning Street off the highway there, so that's where my dad's ancestors came from.
Well, that's where I went to school. I went to Kangaroo Flat Tech, and my mum lives there now. And
my wife's from there. She's a flanker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, pretty special place.
So parents play for the bowls club there. So.
There's a lot of Brownings in the Kangaroo Flat Cemetery, which is the leanest, hungriest looking cemetery I've ever seen in my life.
It's hungry country, mate.
Yes, it is.
Central Victoria,
it's still pretty tough there. It's still pretty tough in Kangaroo Flat. It's pretty tough growing up there for sure.
But I love going back because we used to go up every Christmas and Easter, and every time I get to the centre of Bendigo, I swoon because it's beautiful. Around the fountain, they've done a brilliant job.
Beautiful old Goldfield city. It's gorgeous.
Yes, up View Street, and
it is. And I mentioned that when I came back, I was up there a couple of weekends ago, and just how beautiful the CBD is compared to Geelong. Geelong, and it's grey, and there's no trees, and they've got trees everywhere. It's shady,
and beautiful Victorian buildings.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, they've still got the same problems as Geelong CBD. There's
retail issues.
Shops,
yes,
the Mel's. Nobody wants to go in the Mel because they don't want to get stabbed by an ice head. It's got its problems, but it just feels a bit nicer.
Yes, so definitely, as I say, around the fountain and up View Street.
And there's the Goldfields architecture, of course.
Yes.
And all that money.
Yes,
in that era. I mean, you mentioned the Kangaroo Flat Footy Club. There's another famous footy club.
Yes, indeed.
Green and white. We had a guest on earlier. Remember, we were talking about the last premiership they won, and he owned the Parkview Hotel over the road from the QEO.
That's right.
Mark Drill, and they were partying on back there after the big win before they obviously went back to the Flower.
One of the other things I remember about Bendigo football when I was a kid was that the jumpers were these simple patterns. So Golden Square had royal blue, two royal blue front stripes down the front and the gold stripe down the middle. Eagle Hawk had the two blues.
Oxford blues, two blues.
And South Bendigo was the red and white. Sandhurst had like a Fitzroy type jumper.
They had the SFC on the front. So it was a blue jumper with a maroon or the other way around.
They were distinctive, weren't they? They didn't just follow the AFL sides. They had their own. A bit like the old VFA jumpers, which I liked too, before the VFL jumpers. Similar things. Peel Delvin and
When you look at the newer clubs, like North Bendigo are in different league now, but they just had a Footscray jumper and
Doggies.
Strathfield stayed out the Geelong jumper. But the original clubs.
I think even Echuca might have had a green and white one when they were in it in the early, or maybe that was green with an emblem, white emblem.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't remember Echuca.
No, they left when I was not that old, but I do remember them being.
The flag had a kangaroo. It's green and white.
Well, they were green and white. But they were in the what was it called? The Golden City League or something?
No, the flat were in the Bendigo League.
They are now, but when I was a kid, you'd pick up the Bendigo Advertiser on a Monday, and there'd be the Bendigo League, and then in the Golden City League. I can remember teams like YCW.
YCW ended up in Loddon Valley. So I played my last year of footy at Bridgewater in the Loddon area, and at one point won about 8 premierships in a row as you get in some of those country leagues. But so YCW now I think merged with Maiden Gully, where I grew up and never had a club, but it's become so populated again. I think they had their own footy club. Yes,
North Bendigo might have been in that comp when I was a kid too.
Yeah, well they're in Heathcote League now. Yeah. But
I just remember these names, and they were great times as a kid. Yeah, going to Bendigo at Christmas and Easter.
Yeah. Was Castlemaine and Kyneton part of that league one year?
I think so. Yeah, so Castlemaine were Collingwood colours, and Kyneton Richmond. Well, that That's I maybe never saw them play. I had an image of them being blue and with a yellow sash, almost sort of like a variation of the Golden Square jumper. But that may not be right.
And then there was Northern United for a while. They were maroon with a yellow V or a yellow yoke or something. Remember, they were like an amalgamation of Raywood and someone else up there. Yeah.
It would have been a treat to play on QEO. I mean, at my cricket club, we had a season where we had, because our ground was being redone, we had a season on Cardinia Park, which was nice. Yeah. But I've walked out on QEO and you look around there and you go, this would be for footy or cricket. It must have been
beautiful. Yeah. With the old Goldfields grandstand, period architecture around, beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful oval. Yeah.
And they used to get about 10,000, I reckon, to these finals. In the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, no, I've been down to a few, and I don't know 10,000, but they were always a big day. But so were all country footy. You know, I've been to Coldac Grand Finals League, and I've been to Loddon Valley.
They're all great. Always a great day. The country footy Grand Finals in any league is fantastic. A great day. Everyone turns up, and the netball goes with it as well. Generally, you know, so you've got men and women all competing together. You know, and families. They're good days in country towns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, can I go? Can we? Have we got time? Just can we go back to the book? We've just chatted away, had this great Blake yak about footy and cricket, but Mark's book, The Ashes, called The Ashes. I want to talk a little bit a bit specifically about England and Australia as cricket teams, and the way the game you've played over there as well. You've seen the game played in England. I think Test cricket. I think it's in okay shape. I think Test cricket will be okay, but I'm not. And I think there's some. I think it's good. I think it's in good shape in Australia, and I think it's good shape in New Zealand. It's good in South Africa. I think it's good. India is very good, obviously. West Indies not so good, but England. I wonder. I don't know. It seems I was very critical of the whole English approach last year to the Ashes. A sense of, I don't know, like entitlement, right from the top. Swan out, we won't do the work.
I got a feeling this might be one of Mark's favourite topics.
Well, from the, senior leadership.
Talk about leadership.
From everybody, not the Australian way, it wasn't an Australian way. To me, they're coming out here, they fancied themselves and probably rightly, to an extent, they probably had the right to think they could come and do well, but they got ahead of themselves, and they got walloped. It looks a very unprofessional and amateur approach to me. The way they go about the game to me just doesn't stack up against the Australian tougher management approach. I don't know. Now, in the past, into the future, what do you think, Mark? Do you have a view?
Well, I'll say this first. I love England and I love my English friends. So, I'm passionate about the place, and you feel very comfortable because it's just another version of this in many ways. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But I've also said to this mate of mine that's made this 150-100s, I said, when England play anything, I want the other team to win. And he's gives me funny looks, but and probably doesn't like me saying that. But that's the reality of it. Australia wanted.
That's our job.
That's our job is to see England get beaten. Yeah. What they have done in the time that I've been following cricket too much is they overreact to a setback. So the last time they lost out here, they had a clean out. And they brought in Bazball, and it's a fun thing. I've watched it. I was out there in 2024, and it was England West Indies, and they just smashed the ball all over the place, and won easily. They're better side than the West Indies, obviously, especially at home.
Yes,
But yeah, they've always overreacted and have too many theories, and that goes right back. And they really haven't come up with a formula except for 2010 to actually beat a good Australian side in Australia. So Andrew Strauss, his side, they won at home in 2009. Yeah. They beat us here in 10-11, and then they won there 3-0 in 2013. Yeah. Strauss had finished by then. Yeah. But so they came up with a plan then that worked. Plus, you know, Australia was in transition, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
They certainly had an opportunity to beat us this recent summer, but they messed up. They messed up.
Honestly, on paper, I thought this, you know, this won't be easy. I know it's Australia's at home, but our guys weren't in good form. There were some holes in our side. There were some injuries and stuff. You know, the bowling, it was like cool shit. You know, and they had on paper had some very, very good established cricketers and some very good young kids coming on, and it didn't really come to anything.
They batted in an uninhibited fashion, which works at home, but they didn't adapt their game. So the conditions are different. Yeah. There's less bounce on English wickets. Yeah. The grounds are smaller. Yeah. You can get away with a bit more. They would, as we saw, particularly the first two tests, they were driving on the up, and they didn't take into account the bounce. Yeah. You have to cut the ball here more than drive it off the back foot through the offside. Yeah. They stuck with this policy, and they didn't really change it until too late. So, you know, Harry Brook made some runs, but he didn't really impact the game. No. Duckett the same, didn't really impact the game. No. Crawley's tall, and he played a couple of nice innings. I thought he batted really well in the second innings in Adelaide, but he didn't really cash in on that.
He's the one that should have been able to play the conditions.
Well, I thought he looked tall. I thought he looked the best. I really liked the look of Crawley. I really did. And
he's trying to drive on the up.
Yeah, he couldn't do it either. I mean, Root's a great batsman.
Bethel and Root showed how to do it in Sydney and Root in Brisbane as well.
Yeah.
But it was too late.
Well, Root's a class act, of course, but he shouldn't have to, you know, carry the whole. He's one out of the top six back. In one bat, doesn't matter how good one is. You need help around. You need two or three that are going to get 100 every now and then. Not relying on one bloke to make the ton every time.
I think the other thing we've got to realise about English cricket is that cricket in the country in England is like a second or third level sport.
Soccer's a big football.
Soccer just smothers everything else. Yeah. And unless the England team are knocking us over, most people in the country, majority of people in the country, aren't really interested in it.
Because I think they still see it as an upper class game.
Is it elitist?
Or in England.
Is it elitist?
They do.
I think there's a degree of that. So I think it's middle class to upper class. Yeah. So the school I coached at you'd say it was middle class. You wouldn't say it was upper class. Yeah. There was, I mean, the principal was a great man and had a history doctorate from Oxford. Yeah. Dr. Giles Mercer, lovely guy. Still in touch with him occasionally, and when I've gone back and visited Bath, have lunch with he and his wife Caroline. So he doesn't know much about cricket, but he talks to me a little bit about it. So it doesn't impact like it does here. Cricket here, and this is to get back to the book. Like as I said, Australia, you don't give up the Ashes. You don't lose the Ashes. Still a case, except we actually win games rather than draw them. But we cling on to them. You know, it's all right to level a series in England, but you don't really even want to lose the Ashes in England. I remember I was in England in 2005. Probably the best Ashes series in my lifetime in terms of the quality of the teams. I know the last 23 and 19 were great series as well, but that was a great Australian side in 2005, and Vaughan and his crew worked out a way with reverse swing to knock them over. They were a bit complacent probably as well. Yeah. It was devastating, and I've got an Aussie mate that lives in South London, and he said, I couldn't even go to work. He said, because I would just cop so much stick. Yeah. But it was phenomenal cricket. I was there the day that Lee and Kasparowicz got us within a whisker of putting us 2-0 up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
That was the game where Glenn McGrath couldn't play, and I've always said to my English friends, the ball that won the Ashes for England was the one that Glenn McGrath stood on that day and twisted his ankle just half an hour before the game. So it is, if you ever get the chance, go to an Ashes test in England. It's a different experience to here. Yes. They present, it's not cheap, but they present test cricket wonderfully well over there. The grounds are intimate. The supporters, I know the Barmy Army is great here, but it can be a little annoying, but over there, they're all spread out.
Yeah.
It's just really a great day.
Yeah.
The weather's improved over time. The summers are a bit more comfortable now. So if
And
they ever get a
the
chance,
pubs and the ales,
Oh my
God,
the pubs before and afterwards. I mean, we love when we go to Boxing Day. We love going to Young and Jackson before and afterwards. You can imagine what the whole town,
the English pub scene,
all around
with rails pumping up those ales, those dark ales. Oh, let me at it. I love it.
Which ground? Like I've got this thing. I don't know why. I want to go and see a test at the Oval. Which ground would you? Is a must, or which grounds are a must go to?
well, obviously Lords is the one if you can get in, and you've got a few pennies because it's I think it was about £150 a day, £180 a day, 300 23.
You'd pay that to go to Lords. I'd pay that for Lords though. Like if you could get it.
Yeah, the other grounds there, and the Oval's expensive as well because it's London, so London's more expensive. So the grounds up in the north are a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But it is. If you go to Lords and you sit down and the sun's out on that and shining on that pavilion and the players walk out, I'm just in heaven, right? Yeah. It's just special, and it's still with me every time I go there. Yeah. The other ground I like best probably after that is Trent Bridge in Nottingham. Yeah. It's small. It only holds about 17,000, 18,000, but it's very intimate. Yeah. It's, again, a lot of history. I've tended to be there in England. I've only been like one whole season once, and that was 91. So I did go to the Oval. Yeah. It was an England-West Indies test. It was Viv Richards' last test. It was a great game, and I really enjoyed it. I've been to county matches there too. Look, there's no. It's again. They're all great. They're all great.
Yep. Have you been to Headingley?
I have been to Headingley, not for a long time. The last time I was there, it nearly cost me my marriage. We went. It was again an England West Indies test in 2007 when I was doing the coaching job in Bath, and we had a half-term break, and we went to day 2, and that was all right. Except England dominated. Kevin Peterson got 200, and Ryan Sidebottom, I don't even remember that game. A left armour, he cleaned them up once. They even had to follow on. So we had tickets for the next day as well, and the rain never got heavy. And this was June, the first week of June, but there was sleet.
Oh, gosh.
And they wouldn't call the play off, so I wouldn't leave. Chris is going, come on, it's so cold. We sat, I don't know, there's a rugby stand at the back of the main stand at the cricket ground. Yeah. We went there, sat there for a while out of the wind. Finally at 4 o'clock, they called it off. I got to say, I haven't been north of the line between the line across from Birmingham to Nottingham since. I just refuse to go north of that line because people in Australia think it's all cold, but there's a definite difference.
Oh, is there really? The
north is colder more often. Doesn't mean you don't get a good day. So, but I've been to Headingley.
That is Yorkshire, isn't it? We're talking Yorkshire. That's
and I've been to Manchester as well, Old Trafford a couple of times.
Yeah, Old Trafford, that's right. Manchester, And
I was a little bit disappointed with that. You talked about going to the footy at Waverley. It's a bit sorcery like Waverley used to be. You back a fair way rather than up and over. So I said about I like Trent Bridge. The stands go up.
Yeah.
And I've always rated the MCG better than Waverley for that reason, that you go up and so you're over the ground rather than back.
Yeah, way back looking across. Yeah.
So, I was a bit disappointed. I saw 2 tests in Cardiff as well because they were the first test. It was 2009 and 2015. So that was nice to see. That's the lot I've been to. They're going to play an Ashes test in Southampton. I think used to be called the Rose Bowl in 27. And I haven't been up to Durham either. It's north of that divide that I don't go anymore. So.
And the Birmingham ground, I've forgotten its name.
Oh, Edgbaston. Yeah, I've been there lots of times.
The crowds there are the most fun. Is that
the Holly Stand? I wouldn't sit in the middle. I wouldn't sit in the middle of them, but if you're out back a bit, that's fine. And again, it's not too big. There's nothing special to see in Birmingham as a city. We talked about some Geelong City Centre and Bendigo City Centre. Well, Birmingham is probably a notch down, but it's not a bad town. But it's just that bit's not real flash. I did sit in the Holly Stand with Chris in 2001. I only got to go one day to that Ashes series, and that was day 3, 2001. And I don't know if you remember, it was when Gilchrist went ballistic. Oh, yeah. He got 150. He put on 60 for the last wicket with McGrath, and McGrath got 1. And he's taking Mark Butcher to the cleaners and hit 22 off and over. I can't remember what I said, but it might have been a mildly disparaging remark about the standard of the England team. Yeah. And this guy turned around in front of me, and I didn't know what he was going to say or do, but he just turned around and smiled and said, "You bastards." They were a phenomenal side, weren't they? Yeah. Australia. I said about the best players I'd seen, but that side sort of from 95 to 2005.
Weren't they? Yeah, with Warne in them.
Warne, McGrath.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like Warne was he was a force to be reckoned with on his own. You talk about like Joe Root, trying to carry the top six.
Yeah.
Warne to carry the bowling attack for. He was good enough on his own. You didn't need much else to go around him. He was so good, I think. So good. Yeah. Shit, he was a good bowler.
Yeah, I mean, but as I say, McGrath was a star as well, and Gillespie backing up. So those guys, that was a great side. And you had the batsmen were queuing up to get in. They could not, like guys like Simon Kadich couldn't hold their spot. Damien Martin was in and out a bit.
Yeah, they were all in form.
Lehman couldn't get in. I remember at the Nets at Manchester in 05. Watching Brad Hodge bat. Yeah, he could get in the side. I mean, gunplay. These guys would walk in right now.
Yeah.
And there was the other thing I remember that there was a net and there was a fence. Kadich was bowling a few of his wrist spinners. That was all right. And Kasparowicz was bowling, and he wasn't probably bowling flat out, but he was certainly a fair clip. And Sean Tate was bowling. And I was flinching and putting my hands up behind the net in front of me, even though I had 2 layers of protection. Yeah. He was quick. He was so quick.
He was quick. Yeah.
Any more books on the go and lined up? Any in the planning? You've written 5, right?
Four definite, and then the World Cup book I did went to a second edition in 2015. Yeah. So there's a Richie Benno in 96, 97. Yeah. First edition of the World Cup book came out after the 99 World Cup, and then I did a Rod Marsh biography. Oh, yeah. And then in 2015, James Grapsis and I brought out an update of the World Cup book. Right. And I also helped out Ken Peace with a couple of little booklets and things on Victoria and Sheffield Shield winning sides, just 80-page type things. So, I like it. Yeah, I like doing it. Any
plans for another?
Well, let's see. A book is a lot of work. So you can write a feature article for a magazine in a few days and get your quotes or whatever, and that's not too bad. And you get a few bucks for that. Whereas a book is less. It's a set amount for a feature article. Whereas I still don't know how many have sold or whether I'm going to get any money at all. So the other books, the Benno book and the Marsh book, a few bucks, not much. And then the World Cup book must have done pretty well. So I rewired the house on the proceeds from the World Cup book. So. And then with this one, I don't know. And they are a lot of work. And as I say, this was like a labour of love that started a long time ago. Yeah. But never say never.
Yeah. Well, I am interested. We have had a publisher on here before. We've had a historian who's written 20-odd books on here before. And as somebody who dabbles in writing, the process of writing one of these it must be enormous. You must have to really, you must be really passionate about the topic, but B, get yourself mentally prepared to go on that journey. Like, it must really be something you got to be ready for.
Well, I've been retired from teaching for 10 years or more now. Okay. So that gave me a bit more time to address this one. Yeah. But the other two I was doing while I was teaching. So they were, but it's actually the biggest buzz is when it comes out and you see it on the shelves in Angus and Robertson as it was back then, and your name's on it. That's the buzz, and there's been a big gap till this one, and I wasn't sure I was ever going to get published, and when it did, it was like, oh right, that's nice, that's nice, and people have been really nice about it, and mates have been having a few jokes at my expense about it, but it's nice recognition. So people take, whether you make any money or not, people take notice of books. They don't take that much notice of a byline in a cricket magazine. Well, they take less notice, but so it's a nice thing, and it's your little baby, really, isn't it? When it's a book,
Absolutely.
Yeah, when it gets published like that, like you say, with your name on it, in that form, it's fantastic. Congratulations. Did you get to meet either Marsh or Benno when you did their biographies?
No, neither of those.
No.
Neither of those. I wrote a letter to Richie Benno and said, Kangaroo Press want to do this.
Yeah.
And he said, well, he was prolific himself.
Yeah, well, he's a journalist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Himself.
So he said, so and in a way that was probably okay because I came from a different angle as a watcher and a fan of him and the game, rather than him writing about his own life as well.
So do we call them, there's a technical term when you hear about biographies, authorised biography?
These are unauthorised, I guess.
Yes. They're not authorised. Yes.
You only get into trouble if you write nasty things about them. And I'm a fan, so both he and Marsh.
It's not the meaningfulness of the term's not really there.
It does.
Whether it's authorised or not doesn't really matter.
If I sold millions of copies, they might have knocked at the door and said, where's my card?
Okay. Yeah. And briefly, in summary, you've written biographies on those two great Australian cricketers. How were their journeys similar or different?
Well, they came out of a different era and a different time. And to get back to the Ashes book, I mean, the closing part is about the emergence of Ian Chappell's side and the resurrection of Ashes cricket in 1972 in England and in 74, 75 here.
Yes.
Right. And Rod Marsh was a big part of that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was.
And so...
Lily Thompson Marsh.
So... I said about the Beatles thing and in the 60s, and those guys, again, as I will say, they were great men and great cricketers. They presented themselves as guys from, like, the 50s with their haircuts and the cut of their jib, right?
Yeah.
So Ian Chappell's side, suddenly they've got moustaches, longer hair, open, right. And Marsh was part of that. So the profile and the image changed completely in that period.
They looked more like the people that was on the other side of the fence. Right?
Yes.
They looked more like the people in the stands. Yeah. They looked more like real Aussies of that day.
They did. Yeah.
The 72 side recorded a song for the as a promo for the series. Yeah. Richie Benno, though, came out of the post-war period. His dad was a teacher in country schools in New South Wales before they moved back to western suburbs of Sydney. Yeah. So, his influences were different. I mean, he was a progressive man. You know, he was... He did change the image of the side a bit. Yeah. He was a huge fan of Keith Miller, who was like, a 50s movie star. His demeanour.
Like of cricket, wasn't he, Miller?
And, of course, Richie Benno, when he stopped playing, was involved with World Series cricket and the promotion of the game and the development of ODI cricket.
All that commentary through,
But as a player, he's linked to that period. Yeah. Really just finishing up in the early 60s, just at the start of the book. So he was disappointed with how his career finished in that 62-63 Ashes, which was well attended because 61 had been a great series in England. Yeah. But it fizzled out really badly, particularly in the fifth test. Yeah. And somebody wrote to the New South Wales Cricket Association and asked for their money back because the fifth test was so bad.
They must have been absolutely livid. Sit down and pen that letter out.
And Lorien was booed off. He batted out the last two sessions on the final day of the fifth test. And was 45 not out at stumps, so he just blocked the last two sessions and was booed off the ground by Australian supporters. So that was unfortunately for Richie, who wasn't really that kind of guy. That's his final Ashes legacy.
It's a bit of a sad ending, isn't it?
Yeah. The interesting thing about Richie Benno, though, is he is just a bigger figure.
Post-playing
career.
Absolutely.
In the minds of Australians for his commentating career. Yeah. And certainly if you're my era, who never watched him play, you know him as the commentator.
Yeah, the front person.
Why have people got such a reverence for Richie Benno when you weren't aware of his... I mean, you're aware of it, but you'd never watched him play. You didn't know how much a great player he was. And going forward, he'll...
22.
That's what he remembered. Just his successful, great... and the silver, the white jacket.
Yeah, the silver hair. Yeah.
Well, he was a fine player. And again, on YouTube these days, And I kind of mentioned a few of these things that you want to check out some vision of these guys. It is available on YouTube now. You can have a look at them, and they're not ball by ball stuff because that'd put you to sleep. But it's the famous Old Trafford Test in 1961, which is Richie Benaud's greatest moment when he took 6 for. That's good clear footage of that on YouTube. There's about an hour of highlights of that whole match. It's a ripping game. And I mean, you can get a bit of an impression about what these guys were like. The other guy that is in this book that's sort of in the first 2 series is Ted Dexter. I mean, if he played now, he'd be a superstar. He was a phenomenal player. He's one of the guys, and some of the guys I spoke to have passed away since I wrote the book, but one of them is still alive, fortunately, is Tom Vivas, who'd be 89 this year. But in 62, he was on the verge of getting into the Australian team. And there was a game of Australian 11 versus the MCC at the MCG, and Vivas came down from Queensland as a prospective test player to play in that. And Dexter basically hit him out of calculation, and he hit a 6. It gets described in there and other old cricket books that I've read, and it never went any higher than 7 foot off the ground, and was still going up when it hit the seats in the southern stand, the old southern stand. He was a powerful man, not beautiful athletic build. He also played another innings against Charlie Griffith and Wes Hall at Lords in 1963, where these 2 guys for the West Indies were really fast for their time. And he's just stood and delivered cuts, drives, hooks. He would be right up there now as one of the like superstars of the game.
Dexter.
Yeah,
right.
But because of that era that he played in, and because he kind of was a little bit upper crust, the Yorkshiremen didn't like him. Because he's from Sussex and he was well-to-do. He doesn't really get the kudos that he probably should have. That 62-63 tour, he was such a presence. They used to play some of the states twice. The second game against Victoria, he didn't play. They reckon it cost about 50% of the gate, if not more, because people would just go and watch him bat.
Wow.
You mentioned just quickly a story, and I can't remember now. I'm relying on you to remember this, but there's a story of a great English captain who retired and came back. Probably during the South African or the World Series cricket or the South African Rebel Tour. They'd brought him back after a few years, and he came to Australia, and he's very gentlemanly. He was very English, and it goes to shake, is it Dennis Lilly or Rod Marsh's hand?
No, Jeff Thompson.
Jeff Thompson's hand, and said, have a good game or something. And what did Jeff Thompson say?
Yeah, that won't help you out, mate. That's I think he might have used the F-bomb there and told him, I'm not going to spare it. So you're talking about Sir Michael Colin Cowdery.
Yes,
MCC. And yes, he'd been out of the side for a couple of years, and they had all these guys with broken fingers in that England side from 74-75 from the first test.
Jeff Thompson.
Thompson
and Lilly. And so Mike Deness was the captain. He gave Colin Cowdery a call and said, can you come out to Australia? And, he was proving
he was at Oxford Don, wasn't he, Mike Deness? He was like an Oxford Don. He was a doctor of philosophy at Oxford University. Deness.
I'm not aware of that.
Scotsman?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's him.
Yes.
I think that's him.
He was from Kent, same county as Colin Cowdery.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And he was Scottish, Scottish born.
Yep.
So he called Colin Cowdery and said, come out and play. And Cowdery got him behind the ball, all right, but he really didn't impact the series. And then he looked older. He was 41, but he looked older than that.
Because he wasn't in very good shape. No. He was a big man.
Yes.
He was a big man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was round.
He just come up to the 1970s Australians and thought he'd be nice and gentlemanly. And then cops Jeff Thompson.
But he got him behind the ball. He got a 20 and a 40, I think, in that Perth test. And they kept him in the side right through, but they were well outplayed. There was they never really stood a chance. We were a better side than them by then. I mean, they even in the Adelaide test of that series got to send Australia in on a wet pitch. The day one in Adelaide got washed out by rain. It was probably the last time it happened. And the covers blew off and the pitch got some rain on it. And they had Derek Underwood, who was this wet wicket specialist.
Yes.
And he took 7 for, but Doug Walters and Terry Jenner both made 50s, and Australia got to 300, and that was enough.
Yeah.
Then the quicks, Lillian Thompson and Maxie Walker, with support from Ashley Mallett, bowled them out twice, and we still won. So we just had a better side.
Mark, I can't believe we haven't yet talked about the great local cricketer in this period. We've got to mention his name, don't we, and have a chat about him. Tell us a bit about Redders. You must know. You must have some Redders stories, I hope.
Yes, he obviously features in the book, and we lost him a year or so ago, and what a great man he was.
So sad.
An absolute gentleman of the game.
Yeah.
Outside Cardinia Park, you've got the Geelong Sporting Icons tributes, and the two main cricketers are Hassett and Redpath, and it's a real toss-up as to who is the best cricketer to ever come out of Geelong. So those two obviously stand out. Yeah. So he developed through the 60s, but he also lasted long enough to partake of the side in the mid-70s and be part of the Chappells.
Yes, he was.
Played in 74, 75 and against the West Indies the following year.
He played beyond Laurie, did he?
Yes, he did.
He did. Yeah, because Laurie got sacked.
Yes.
Didn't he, of course? And Redpath was still there.
Well, so Redpath played through that series, including the test that Laurie got sacked at the end of that series. Yeah. And but then Redpath wasn't always treated well by the selectors, so they left him out in 72, and they replaced him with guys who were clearly not as good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Graham Watson, Bruce Francis, Johnny Underwood.
Never any good, really. Not that level.
And then they worked out that he was the better player than those three guys. Yeah. So he got back in the side and then played the next few years. He got left out of one series against New Zealand, which didn't probably matter that much because New Zealand were very strong there.
Yeah. Great opening batsman. Really right. I remember listening, to Sheffield Shield on the radio, as a child, and listening to Redpath and Laurie, fantastic memories.
Yeah, and he got better and better as he went along, didn't he? His last series, his last two tests, he made hundreds.
Yeah.
And then he was about 35, and he had his antique business. He said that's enough. Although he had a bit of a crack at World Series cricket. He came out of retirement and played a little bit of that, but he did his Achilles down at Cardinia Park. He got a wicket and jumped up. I mean, he was just a stick of a man.
He's he jumped very up thin
and landed awkwardly and ruptured his Achilles. So that was, but Packer still paid him. That was in the contract.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing there's footage of him somewhere in that Packer era. An advertisement for the game, and Redders is there with the cap on doing something. So he obviously played through that Packer period, the World Series cricket.
Yeah, he came back and played a few games. Yes,
there's a photo of him with a yellow cap on.
Yes,
I remember.
Yes. He did.
I remember he
did.
Distinctive, with a very distinctive face.
Yes, and distinctive neck.
Yeah.
Possibly the longest neck I've ever seen of a test cricketer.
He was a great cricketer, a great Pivotonian, could we say?
Yes, definitely.
A great Pivotonian.
Apparently a good enough footballer also to play AFL.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Played for Geelong Amateurs, I think, but Bobby Davis said he tried to get him down to Geelong in the mid-60s, and cricket was his first love, and there was no money in either sport, so he stuck with cricket, which was his first passion. And I actually played a couple of games against him in veterans cricket, Suma Park above Queenscliff, the hill above Queenscliff where the little vineyard is there. Yeah. The guy that Barry Proven, who owned that property, had a little cricket ground. And he knew Redders, and Redders played a few times. And I mean, it's just an honour to be out on the same field as him.
Wouldn't it be?
And he would, he's 15 years older than me, so he was probably even more encumbered by his age than even I was. Yeah. But you could still see the smooth technique, and you'd swoon a little. And I must admit, I did sledge him once about getting him back on strike, but it was just meant to be a joke, but it went down like a lead balloon. No, it went down like a lead balloon.
No, that'd be a really bad feeling. I feel for you, mate. I feel that would be. You imagine, trying to be a little bit, and then it doesn't go over with someone like Ian Redpath. It's like, shit. You just want the ground to swallow you, wouldn't you?
I did.
Oh my God.
Yes. It was meant to be sort of really show the respect that I had for him as a player, but it was
ham-fisted.
Well, it was ham-fisted. Definitely.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
You can't take. You go. I wish I want bring those words back on the end of my tongue. They're just dialing.
No, just didn't work.
Well, Mark, Brian said that you've run into a couple of cricket tragics when you walked in, but I reckon I feel like a bit of a cricket
Novice.
No, nothing now.
Not even a novice.
Bit of a dummy, but so I really appreciate you bringing your knowledge and your passion for the game, as well as footy, of course, and sport in general. So it's been a great chat. I know we could go on forever talking about cricket. So that's a great subject that we both love. So thank you very much.
No, my pleasure.
Congratulations on the book.
Yeah.
I hope it sells well, and it's been a great read. So I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Anytime, Scott. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks for your time. Good on you. Thank you.
He made a rambling man. Some folks might say that I